Building a seat, a Nova seat from scratch. We're going to take the padding and take it right down to the springs. Tear everything off right down to the springs. Then we'll get a piece of carpet or a piece of stiff material, strong material, and we're going to weave it in and out of the springs itself and make like a drum effect. After putting the material through the springs, every other spring as best you can, you're going to put a few hog rings on one side, and then you're going to pull very tight on this side and hog ring it with enough hog rings. Next thing you're going to do is take these 1-inch toppers, and you're going to use 2 for the cushion. The first one you're going to lay on there, and you're going to cut it even with the frame of the seat, and make sure you cut out a slot for the seat belts where they're supposed to go. The next one, you're going to glue it down also. You're going to glue it down to that fabric a little bit. Have to go crazy with it. Then you're going to take the second one and lay it on top and extend it over about 3 inches over the sides. And you're going to spray the cement on there, and then you're going to lay it down. And it's going to overextend a little bit, but you have to trim it first. So do both sides first and make sure you cut off the seat belts. The second piece of foam is glued on top, and you can see underneath where you extended it probably about 3 inches overlap. Because what's going to happen now, we're going to fold it over the edge. But first we have to put the jute felt on here. Alright, the jute felt is laid on top of the foam. Make sure you extend it past the foam. Now you're going to trim a little bit around the edge. You don't want all of this in the front here. You just want it a few inches past the foam. And then you're going to glue it to the foam. And you're gluing the felt onto the foam and lay it over the top and smooth it out. You're going to flip the seat over. You're going to take the jute and you're going to stretch it real tight, and you're going to hog ring it to these springs all the way around it, trying to make it tight as possible. Cut off any excess that you don't need if there's too much. Basically, that's what you're going to do. You're going to try to hog ring it as tight as you could, up in the corners especially, all the way around. And that's it. Then you're going to flip it over. Pretty much what you got now. Pretty firm cushion. And then you're going to put the cover on. Just make sure you put the little screws for stoppers or anything like that you have to put back in. And don't put them all the way in. Next step is to put the cover on. So you're going to put the rods into the listing tape where need be. If the old rods are bad, you can go to Home Depot and get these rods for hanging ceilings. Pretty cheap. Come in a 10-pack. First thing you're going to do is set the cover over the notch so you can't go wrong in the center. And you're temporarily going to put a few hog rings down where the spring was attached before on the springs of the hog ring. And then you're going to fold over the sides. So you fold over one side and you temporarily catch one of the hog rings underneath there just to hold it, because now you're going to stretch it over the other side. You're going to pull it real tight, use your knee for leverage, and stretch it as tight as you could. Of course, I've got steam to help me get some of these wrinkles out and stuff. Once the cover is pretty much set up, it's pretty well in there, and you got to do the front now. You have to flip it over and really pull it. And this piece has to be folded over, but you have to remember one thing. You've got that piece of hardware that goes here with the bolts, so you're going to have to put something there to find it. And what I usually use is a upholstery pin. I just stick it in now, all the way in. And now I flipped it over and I'm hog ringing it back to where you're supposed to hog ring it here. It's going to be real tight, so I like to throw either a heat gun on here first, or you have steam, of course, which is a very good tool. And you would steam behind the cover, get it soft, and really push on it. And once you get a few hog rings, you can start pulling up pretty easy after that. And this is what I mean by the steamer. You would put the steam behind it and get it real warm, shrink it, get all the wrinkles out. This helps a lot. Once it's all secured, now you got to cut out for the seat belts. Make sure you know where that goes. And it's right in the slot there where you left that foam out of there. And these are the things that are going to slide through from the front. So you got to flip over the seat. And usually you got a little place sewed in there. You better check before you do anything. You got to make a slit there, and these things got to be pushed in there, so it's going to be pretty tight. Put the hardware back. Remember those screws you put in, you pull them out. Put the little stoppers in. Push those through, like I said, into the spring behind it, underneath. There's why I put the pin in there, to find the first hole for this plate. Once you find that one, you get the oil to find the other ones. Now the seat is done, all the hardware put back in. Padding worked out perfectly the way we do it. Now we got to get onto the backrests, which is in pretty bad shape. There you can see, the foam is really bad. Chevolet seats are all set and put together now.